my name is Dipna. You're welcome back again this week to find more about researching your family tree. I'd like to thank Mayo.ie for giving me an opportunity to help you. And what I'm going to do this week now is just pick a particular person who came from Castlebar. Her name was Margaret Sheridan, and locals would be familiar with her. She was a very famous opera singer here in Castlebar. You can visit her house in the Mall, and it's still standing. Her parents died when she was quite young, so Margaret had to go to school in Dublin, where she lived up there for a while. So I can show you the website where I'm able to find her birth. I mentioned this last week, but we're actually going to look at how you use it today. So this is the Irish Genealogy website. I'm actually directly to the link there, just to show you Margaret where I found her birth. So she is, yes, down here now. 1889, Margaret Mary, so her father was John Sheridan from the Green Castlebar, and her mother was Mary Sheridan, formerly Corley. Her mother died when Margaret was really young, and then the father died shortly after. So the family were fostered by family. So if we just search for somebody else's name, just to show you how to use this site. So I will try a different name that I know I will find. If you know the town, you can put the town in here. And we'll search for all records in this case. It's not a familiar name, but if you were searching for a particular record, there are only 6 records of this name. So we'll have a look first on the birth. And when you scroll down, you go into the image. And there you have your image, and you will find them on that image. What's interesting as well is maybe to look through some of the other images that you might see in that area. It might help you with some other research. So now that we've found her birth, the next thing you will want to look at, you'll want to look and try and find people in the census. So we'll have a look. I know that she was in boarding school in Dublin. So we'll have a look at the census here. I mentioned the census. So to search the census, there are 2 ways you can do it. You can search by person. So there's Sheridan, Dublin. And this is actually the details of Margaret on the census. She's actually in a boarding school. So when I click on that actual census report itself, you will see a long list of names of the girls that were in the boarding school. There are different types of returns down here, so you can search page 2, 3 or 4 will be just because there are a lot of children at school. But there you are, you can go actually into it itself and you'll see where all the children are from, the different counties. So I'll just bring you back to the census itself. So if you want to browse the census, which I mentioned before, we'll go to 1911. Just go down to Mayo. And these are all the different townlands in Mayo. So we'll just pick any town really. We'll pick Achill for instance. And these are all the different people. So I'll just go into Geneva in Achill. And you can see the names there, and you can see how they're spaced out. So you would have to be very careful when you are putting somebody in. You'll see the space between, because this census only reads exactly what you put in. Now, all of those spellings are lovely. But you will sometimes go into a townland where your ancestor is spelled wrong. So that's the browse option. And then if you go back to the search option, you can put in a name. I'll try the same name as I tried before. You can also, there's a more search option. Some people don't know about that. But if you know somebody was born in Mayo, but you can't find them anywhere, in Ireland, you can shorten it by saying, or you can put their occupation in. That's just an extension to the basic search. So we'll just go to search now. Search. And I knew there would only be one. So there it is. So what you can do is, that's the household return. You can see there that they had 6 children and 4 are living. You can see that the signature, which is quite nice, you will see the signature of your ancestor. Sometimes it has an X mark where they don't actually write themselves. You will see the religion also on the census. And you can compare this one then with the 1901 census. So I found, I'm going back to Margaret again, I found a little bit about where she was asked to sing at a concert in a Vesh. And a little bit more about her, because Margaret eventually went, she performed, and she went to Rome to perform in Rome. She was very famous for La Scala, for her production of La Scala, and also in various operas in there. So these are just some pictures. And this is her death in 1958 in Dublin South. So in this case, she was just on her own, and she actually died in the Shelburne Hotel. But in most cases, when you'd be searching this, you would usually find your ancestor, either their wife or their son or their daughter. It would say what they died of and what their occupation was. So what I'd like to do with you now is just give you a little bit more detail on the National Archives of Ireland website. And all these are free to search. I did mention that the census, when you go into the census on this website, you will also be able to look in the ones that I had mentioned previously to search if they had applied for the pension, 1841 and 1851. When you're on this page, use the genealogy item just to get back to the main genealogy page. So there are numerous things on this website that will be helpful. This is where you find your Ty the Plotman's books that I mentioned last week, 1823 to 37. You can search them. Soldiers' wills. These, of course, are the wills of the soldiers that didn't return from the war in 1917. But you will find, if you go in and you search your soldiers' wills, you will find who they were leaving their little bit of money or medals or property that was taken when they deceased. You won't find any wills other than the wills of the soldiers that are deceased. The will calendars. Last week I mentioned the wills calendars. I'll just show you this website so that you can... These are the ones up to 1858 to 1922. So just put someone in, a name I'm familiar with, which is the same record as I showed you last week, but I just want to show you how you can use it. If it's a familiar name, you can put in the county, you can break it down if you know the date of death. So we'll go into this will now here. You will come to this page and it'll give you details. If you think it's your relative, just click on the image. And there you have, there he is up there. And you will have different people on that page. But this, I mentioned last week, is just deeds of administration. It's not actually the will itself. So you can order the will so you can get more details on it. Now we go back again. Just press the genealogy tab, it'll bring you back again. Census search forms, these are the 1841 and 1851 forms. These are wills. A lot of these wills are very, very old wills, but if you've got a very old family or maybe landed family, it's worthwhile checking those wills. I won't search them now. Same with the marriage licence bounds, Catholic qualification and convert rolls. Unusually, I found a relative of mine in this, so I'll just show you what it's like. So this was actually when people couldn't own property unless they were with the established church. They took an oath of allegiance to the king and said they were converting. They didn't actually convert. Most historians will tell you that this was for purposes just to keep their property. You have the valuation books. These are like the house books that I mentioned before, and these will do town lands. So I'll just go into those and just show you. So we just maybe pick Mayo again. Parish. Let's see, will Aglish work? Aglish is Castlebar. And there you are again. And like that, you have a William Hines there in 1841, and you can click on the book and you will see the other people that lived in the same townland as him. So that's Bridge Street in Castlebar. So one thing you might like to do is check to see if you can find a headstone for your ancestors. If you're searching here in Mayo, these just going to show you which are probably the best sites to use. IrishGraveyard.ie is a Mayo-based company, and they go around and they read the memorials and the headstones. So it's very easy to search. You just put in last name, first name, and your county, but we won't need it in this case. So there you go. You just click on your headstone. What it will do on this is it will tell you everybody that they know is buried in the grave. Now, you have to remember that they're transcribing this from the gravestones. But you may find some of these graves can be quite old, and most of the Mayo graveyards are actually transcribed at this stage. This is North Mayo. There's a lot more information than just graveyards on this. There's headstones, there's families, biographies of famous families, different resources. She brings you different links. So I'll just go into the headstones. It's a very well laid out site. You've got all the graveyards down on your left, so you can just click on a graveyard, or if you're not too sure where exactly they're buried, because sometimes we have a few graveyards there in Lacken, 3 little cemeteries beside each other. In Straight there are 4 cemeteries, so you can search the different graveyards and the same thing will happen. For international graves, if you want to trace your family, I'm just going to try this site. This is findgrave.com, which is volunteers from all over the world who go out and transcribe graves. The beauty of this website is that if you know where someone is buried, you can request a photograph of the grave and the volunteer in that area will go out and look for it for you. So this man is actually my father, who died in 1991. And so I was able to make a little memoriam that you can join up this site and do, and talk a little bit about his history, put in his parents, put in his brother and all his relatives. So what I can do then is, on the top you see his gravestone there in Ahawal, which is just outside the town of Westport. And then look for his father. And so this also buried in the same graveyard in Ahawal, but go back another generation to his father, who is buried in Ahagawa, which is just outside Westport town. But this is where it gets exciting now, and especially for people from the States. This is his son who emigrated to Chicago, and he is buried in Chicago in Cook County in Mount Carmel, for anybody that will recognise that cemetery. He also has a sister who is buried not too far away from him in St. Joseph Cemetery in Cooks County. So if you know that somebody is buried anywhere in the world, you can make a little memorial for them and request that some volunteer will go out and take a photograph, and they'll do that for you. Thank you for listening. I hope you enjoyed that today. We saw how we can trace a family in the census and in the births, deaths and marriages. Also, we saw how we can locate our Mayo ancestors in the graveyards here in Mayo and further afield.